Shut up and sit down.
What's the story, Internet? Hope everyone is having a wonderful Tuesday afternoon. So today I have a little bit of a different video for you all. As I've mentioned in a couple of my recent videos, I want to do some more talky videos while we have the international break. So today I wanted to cover the topic of the proposed Super League, the European Super League. So what exactly is the Super League? So the Super League would have the biggest teams break off from their leagues and create a new league. Now, it's not clear whether or not it's going to be replacing the Champions League, and then these big teams would still represent their regular leagues. But if you look at the amount of fixtures, that would push their fixture amount to 80, maybe even 100 in some cases because of the domestic cups. So it's probably going to be a separate league. Well, first off, in my opinion, that's a bad thing because that would ruin the domestic leagues. Second off, I think it's a bad thing because I think it would get very boring, because if you've got Manchester United, Liverpool, Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea from England, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, AC Milan, Juventus, Roma, maybe Ajax, shall we say, like the biggest teams in Europe, and that's it, it's going to get very boring very quickly. Because first off, there'd be no promotion and relegation. So if you finish 20th, there's no repercussions. And second off, it's just going to get so repetitive. It's the same thing year after year after year after year after year. And that's one of the things that I find relatively boring with the NFL, the NBA, and the MLS. The MLS here in America has a system where they could implement promotion and relegation from the United Soccer League, which is the second division, but there's no promotion or relegation. So there's not really any hope for those teams to progress unless they become a renowned enough franchise where they can progress into that league. And I think that's what's going to happen if there is ever a Super League. Now, worrying signs, on the 27th of October, one of Josep Bartomeu's last press conferences for Barcelona before he stepped down, he said that Barcelona would accept entry into a Super League. So that's only one club down, and only 19 need more to sign on. So it's potentially worrying times for football, just like the big picture was that I talked about in previous videos, where the big teams are trying to profit, but to the detriment of the fans. Because if the fans don't want it, then they're going to lose their fan base. Now, the thing is, whereas football used to be a representation of your local team and your local country, or it used to be a representation of more local areas. Now, Manchester United and Liverpool and Barcelona and Real Madrid and Bayern Munich are such international powerhouses that they can get the representation from China, from India, from South America. They can get the fans from there, and it doesn't really matter what the local fans think. The local fans might think it's a terrible idea, but it doesn't really matter. And the fact that Europe is such a small continent, where things are so accessible, you can justify the travel. Now, Brexit obviously makes it a little bit shaky with the English teams, but I'm sure that the European Union would sign on to something so lucrative. So one thing I will say is this is not a new idea. I found this article from the BBC on the 5th of August 1998, and the title is English football teams confirm Super League talks. Manchester United and Arsenal have confirmed rumours that they are in talks with top European teams to form a Super League and have said they are interested in joining if it emerges. So this is not a new story. That was the oldest that I could find, but it probably goes back even further. So the things that are standing in the way are FIFA itself. They haven't signed off on it yet. UEFA, because they obviously don't want their Champions League to fall apart. And also the World Cup, because if it interferes with the World Cup, then FIFA's not going to be happy. The domestic leagues have some say, But at the same time, if FIFA gets involved and the sponsors say, yeah, this is a great idea, then they can just be brushed aside. So it's a difficult one, because there's a sentence in this article, this is from ESPN, and they say, why play Burnley twice a year when you can play Barcelona instead, all while earning more money? Well, there's the lucrative side. That's what the football owners want. And I'm sorry, but the Glaziers, Fenway Sports Group, Stan Kroenke, they're all going to be rubbing their hands and say, hell yes, we want a part of this. But then the fans, what about the fans? They're not. I know that there's a pandemic at the minute, so there's no fans in the stadium anyway, but you're going to get the fans in the stadium if, yeah, they're playing Barcelona twice a year, but they played Barcelona last season, and last week was Real Madrid, and next week's Bayern Munich, and the week after that's AC Milan. Well, why do that? Like, I don't think it's going to be the money spinner that they think it is. Are the sponsors going to be involved? Hell yes, they're going to be involved. They're going to love it. Budweiser, McDonald's, Adidas, the rest of them are going to absolutely love it. But at the same time, I don't think it's the best move. And obviously I'm biased because I'm talking as a fan here, but it just seems like bad news. So just reading down the article a little bit. So one of the interesting things is that JP Morgan Chase was involved, and they're said to be fronting $6 billion in debt financing to assist the creation of this Super League. So it's only hypothetical at the moment, but the fact they've already got financial backing is crazy. So what's FIFA's role in all this? That's the next one I wanted to speak about. So FIFA issued a statement saying it did not wish to comment and participate in any speculation about topics which come up every now and then. Now, to be fair to them, like I said, it's been old news. It's from 1998, the article was from. But without FIFA's backing, you could have a case of, say, like with WWE, where you had the, what was it, ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, where it's a fringe competition. And is it going to be as popular? Plus, the article brings up the point where they could bar players from playing in the World Cup, or bar transfers to and from other teams. Or what about the likes of, say, Jack Grealish or Wilfried Zaha? If Aston Villa and Crystal Palace aren't part of that Super League, then what about those young players? The likes of Erling Haaland would never have been discovered in Austria and would never have moved to Dortmund. I think it's bad for sport development, it's bad for the teams, it's bad for the fans. It's just bad. It's just a quick, easy way to make money, and then we're all going to be left holding the bag. And it's a little bit like the topic in my next video with how owners have ruined football teams, with the likes of Bury and Portsmouth and Wigan, potentially. So this isn't set in stone, but there is a roadmap that Europe could use, because there's a potential discussion for the MLS and the Liga MX to join forces into a Super League. There's potential for Africa to adopt a Super League to grow the sport in that region. There's potential for Asia to create a Super League for the same reason. And there's also potential for South America to do it. Now, I think the least likely out of those would be South America, because they have such a huge league system. And no disrespect to the rest, but Asia's a relatively new market. Africa is a constantly growing market. The MLS just isn't popular. So if they joined forces with the Liga MX, then that could create hype about it. But a European one is so vastly different, because unlike the other continents, Europe has so many countries, and to alienate masses of those countries, you're going to lose such a great amount of your viewer base. And I just don't think it's going to be the big spark that they think it is. So, obviously the clubs that are thought to be driving this are Real Madrid, Liverpool, and who else? But Manchester United. So, Florentino from Real Madrid has been said to be a big fan of this for a long time. And so, yeah, I think if there's going to be a big opposition, the biggest opposition is going to come from England. I think England is going to be against it, especially the Premier League. The Football Association, the Premier League, are not going to like this, just like they didn't with the big picture. And thank God the big picture lost 19-1. I think the Spanish league might go for it because Real Madrid and Barcelona already hold so much power over them anyway. The German league, I don't think so either, because they are so big on fan ownership and fan, what's the word? Like fan interaction. I think that the fans would have a huge say, and I think that they would go against it. Italy in a similar way, but the Serie A has been renowned for corruption, so who's to say that they couldn't be bought? Their Eredivisie would probably go for it because they're not a big league. The Ligue 1 would probably go for it because PSG are just a splinter group at the moment. I mean, they're going to win that Farmers League anyway. So the biggest thing is, with the pandemic, I think it's shown some of these clubs that they don't necessarily need the fans to survive, and that's scary. Are they missing the gate revenues? Of course they are. But look at the pay-per-view idea that came through in England. Fortunately, that was scrapped, but it's one of those ideas. It's like with the airlines, when they introduced paying for your first bag. Once it got adopted, and once people stopped raising hell about it, then all of a sudden, it became standard. And all the other airlines adopted it. Just like with hotels, once one started charging for parking, the others adopted it, and here we go. All the hotels are charging for parking now. Because if this hotel is charging for parking and that hotel is charging for parking, you're not going to raise hell about me because there's not one down the street that's got free parking. So yeah, it's interesting to see. There's a lot of pieces to this puzzle, and it's not going to be something that's going to happen overnight. One of the interesting things that could help in the Super League is the international match calendar runs out in 2024. So when that runs out, that opens the door for a calendar to be worked around whatever is happening. Plus, with the Qatar World Cup, that's going to throw all the leagues into a loop anyway. So there's a lot of things that need to fall into place, but it's something to be wary of because there's more smoke now than there was in 1998. And where there is smoke, there is fire. So definitely something to keep an eye on, and something that I'll be keeping an eye on myself, and I'll update you if anything comes up. But I just wanted to give you a bit of information about what it is, what it could entail, and why I think it's a bad idea. I put on the sign football Endgame, ? Because it is a bit like Avengers Endgame. It's one of those scenarios where if this doesn't go well, it could ruin the sport that I love and I hope you all love. So we've got an interesting bit of time right now, but definitely something to keep an eye on. So I will be back with you on Thursday with another video, this time talking about fan ownership and Phoenix clubs such as Bury AFC, who have risen from the ashes. So in the meantime, I hope you're all staying well, keeping out of trouble. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and ta-ra for now. If this goes through, could we be entering